Mark Sandman and Morphine shows us just how much we can do by subtracting with this very minimal setup of 2-string slide bass, baritone sax, drums, and voice. They crafted just some of the coolest music, period. So today we're going to take a look at, Mark Sandman and his slide bass, but also Dana Colley and his baritone sax and Jerome Deupree's drumming, because the way the three of them arranged those tunes is something that all of us should take note of. Hey, I'm Eric Haugen. Check the description box below for tabs and backing tracks on my website, live streams and more on Patreon, and my courses. Now, before we get into it, let's put things in context a little bit. There are several documentaries about Mark Sandman and Morphine, and I recommend them both. But briefly, Mark Sandman was this beatnik, Jack Kerouac, troubadour type artist who had already led quite a life before Morphine, doing things like driving cabs and working construction around Boston, commercial fishing in Alaska, Colorado hippie living, and even some time in Brazil. So by the time Morphine broke through with their second record, Cure for Pain, Mark was 40. That maturity and that history is definitely part of the songwriting and part of the sound. Now, there were many bands before Morphine. Mark stayed busy, but I think the most direct descendant was Treat Her Right, a bluesy project that did feature future Morphine drummer Billy Conway and, occasionally, Dana Colley on baritone sax. Mark played low guitar in that project, which was really just a guitar he would run through an octave pedal. Like Morphine, that band had a minimalist approach. Guitar, harmonica, Mark's low guitar, and stand-up drums. So Dana Colley actually traveled with Treat Her Right as the roadie and sometimes would get up and play some baritone sax with them. When they got back to Boston, Mark started jamming more and more with Dana and Jerome Deupree, who he had played with in one of the other, Mark had many projects going at any given time. So that first lineup of Mark, Jerome, and Dana recorded the first record. What was the first record called? Good. And then it's really the second record, Cure for Pain. I think that was 92 or 93 that one came out. And that's the breakthrough record. I think that's a perfect record. The batch of songs on that record is just so good. The sound is so good. The playing is so loose, but so interactive. That's the one we're going to talk about today. Now, Mark had always been fascinated by sounds that were not exactly a guitar and not exactly a bass, and yet he really discovered something with the 2-string slide bass. His famous bass was a Premier Multivox scroll bass that he modified. He replaced the pickups with a single P-bass pickup, took off the E and the A string, moved the D and the G to the middle, and jacked the action way up, and voila, the slide bass was born. I borrowed this bass from Eastwood guitars. Thanks for letting me use this for this video. But honestly, the tuning is, for most of Cure of Pain, is drop D, which means you could play it on your regular bass if you kind of retune the higher 2 strings, or even on your guitar. But it does sound cooler on, them. By the way, for slide, I'm using the Dunlop 212 heavy wall glass slide on my pinky. Okay, let's talk just a little bit about slide technique. Generally, you want the slide to be straight up and down, right where the fret is. So say I'm going for that 5th fret. I'm going to aim right for it. Here, I can zoom in closer, couldn't I? And it's funny, usually as a guitar player who plays slide, I'll put my fingers behind it. Mark didn't really do that. But also, he had jacked the nut up so high that it didn't really matter. And yeah, these are flat wound strings. The one thing to watch out for is your hand naturally wants to go like this, and that'll be out of tune. So you try and keep that slide straight up and down. It's such a fun sound, man. Mark's riffs are usually simple blues-based things. His action was so high that he couldn't fret if he wanted to. Again, an intentional limitation he put on himself. But some of those riffs could be really tricky, like All Wrong. We're going to talk about this a little bit later when we get into what Dana Colley was doing on the baritone sax, but it's not just blues. There's also the Dorian mode, some Mixolydian, on Cure for Pain, that's got some Mixolydian kind of melody to it, but also Lydian. About 4 pitches happening at any given time when we listen to that record. Mark's voice, Mark's bass, Dana's sax. And what Dana did that's so great and any collaborator should take notice of is how much he shaped the song section to section, bouncing off of the vocal melody, bouncing off of the bass, bouncing off of the drums, finding a part on an instrument that could only do one note at a time. That is something that any of us should take special note of, the way he could shape those songs with one note. I'm going to get out my Mustang to show you. I can't play saxophone, but I want to show you the way his melodies interact. One thing that he does, and yeah, this is an obvious one, he doubles up the riff, and sure, that's always a good idea to do. The next thing, though, I want to point out that's really cool is sometimes, because Mark's bass was tuned in a fifth, root and fifth, Dana would add the third. Another cool thing you'll hear him do is kind of pivot from doing chord tones that are going along with the bass, the kind of the harmony. He'll hear Mark do something and he'll just jump and double that up with his horn. That's cool. Or you can hear this in the verse of Buena. He'll find a little hooky kind of counter melody that doesn't step on anybody's toes too much and kind of adds a little push and pull to things. And then this is another interesting one. If Mark was playing a bluesy riff, he might sort of double that riff, but then also sneak in some Dorian to the riff like he does in Head with Wings. I think I'm correct that it's Jerome Deupree on Cure for Pain, not Billy Conway, who contributes to some songs on that record but wasn't a full-time member yet. Now, because there's no big guitars taking up sonic space in Morphine, you can hear the high-end detail of everything so much clearer. Like, I love guitar, but I'm also well aware guitar, crang, like distortion eats up all your high end. Similarly, so do cymbals. There's also not a lot of cymbals in Morphine. So there's all this room to hear the detail that's going on, the high end of the horn, the high end of the slide across the strings, and you can hear so well when Jerome switches from clicking on the tom rim to hitting the hi-hat or to hitting the bell of the ride. Like, you can hear everything so well. And because at this point they had toured so much, they would listen so closely. I guess that's part of the minimalist thing. When there's not a lot of things in the room, you can really hear everything so well and play off of each other. Apparently that record, Cure for Pain, which I considered, top 10 record, nothing sounds like that record, was like really loose, pretty much improvisational. They had just played so much together, they could intuitively kind of just feel that, oh, now we're simmering down. Oh, here's the build-up, here's the intro, here's the outro, here's an interlude. And yeah, you can hear it every time Jerome makes the decision to like, oh, I'm going to go over to the rack tom now. I'm sorry, the rack tom's over here. But like, you can hear everything change from the clicking over here to opening up a hi-hat with the foot. You can just hear so much. Now, I can't make a video about Morphine without discussing Mark Sandman's tragic early exit from this world in 1999. On the bright side, he did pass away doing what he loved. Playing at a beautiful festival in Italy, he suffered a heart attack on stage and was unable to be revived. Some folks, and I'm one of them, think that this heart attack in some way was caused by an incident that had happened years earlier when he was a cab driver. He was mugged and stabbed and sustained an injury to his heart then. Those kind of injuries you never all the way heal from, and you carry that with you through your life. And I watched a couple of Morphine documentaries, and it seemed like Mark, I don't want to say he was aware he was on borrowed time, but he definitely lived in the moment. The music does live on with Vapors of Morphine, which features Dana Colley and sometimes Jerome Deupree. Billy Conway, the second great drummer, he sadly passed away in 2021 after a battle with cancer. Just for grins, let's walk through how to play some of these riffs. Let's start with Buena, which is maybe one of the most perfect songs of all time. This one he actually tuned even lower, down to C and G. Now you'll notice I don't just slam onto the 3, there's a slide into it. You don't have to, but it sounds like he's moving. And that's definitely part of the Morphine thing, is that the bass is never exactly on the pitch. It adds to the murkiness. Second half. That's a freaking cool riff. Let me retune and we'll talk about some of the other ones. Right? Yeah. So mostly the bass riffs are pretty simple, based off of a blues thing. But there are some that are actually really tricky, like All Wrong. So check it out. That's really hard to get that little pull off there. Now I'm doing it differently than he does. I'm using this hand to stop this string. Now his action was so high that this string was far enough across the fretboard where he could get the slide kind of angled like that and get it. This one, it's not quite that high, and I didn't have time to figure out a way to do that. So, necessity is the mother of invention. So I'm going, and then that hand comes down. That's the first riff, and then that's so cool. Second riff. Still sitting on that string to stop it. That's the third one, and then the final little turn. That's cool. And then that's a cool riff. I will point out that little turn right there, there's Dorian. He'll use the 2nd fret tone. That's not a blues tone anymore. That's a Dorian chord. Yeah, Dorian, just a review, is a minor scale with a raised 6th degree. Miles Davis kind of blue, Coltrane impressions. Like, it's a very jazzy, bluesy scale. Actually, also British folk too. It's a cool mode. So like you can combine Dorian and blues very easily to make cool jazzy bluesy sounds. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some insight and ideas. If you did enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and share. That costs you nothing, and it helps me out a lot when people do that. One more time, how my business works. Patreon, that's where the backing tracks are, live Q&As, and more. I update that every week, and I also make courses. You can check it all out on my website. As Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. That includes yourself. See you next week.